Good morning, students. I still remain your facilitator, Alawode Yetunde, and I welcome you to the second topic of CRPOG, Principles of Crop Protection. In this topic today, we'll be treating quite a lot. We'll be talking about pests and insects as pests. We'll be trying to classify these insects into their various classes. We'll also discuss the methods of disease control, pest and disease control, and we'll also be talking about various pests of cereals. This topic promises to be an interesting one, and I hope to see more of you. So let us go on this wonderful ride, and I'm sure you won't regret it. Thank you very much. So welcome once again to the second topic in this series of principles of crop protection, and I still remain your facilitator, Alawode today, and this is my email address, yalawode at noun.edu.ng. Yes, um, the first topic we'll be talking about or be treating is the general methods for prevention and control of crop pests. And we are going to be talking about four different methods. The first one is the prevention method. Second is the chemical method. We have the cultural method. We have the biological method, and we have the integrated pest management. But we are not going to be talking about the integrated pest in this class today because we will talk about that later. But it's important to note that the integrated pest management involves one or two or even all uses of these four methods that I just mentioned. So by way of introduction, the prevention method is how we are going to be moving on. And the best way of controlling pests is to prevent their attack. And prevention just talks about envisaging what is coming and then preparing for it and preventing it. So to prevent new pests from spreading, all animals which harbor these insects must be treated properly. It's important to note that these animals are the vectors of these diseases and pests. So if they are around, they must be treated so that they will not be carrying these pests from one place to another. And pest presence is also an abundance of the whatever you predict in advance. Okay, the goal when the pest presence is in abundance, that is how much a pest is in a particular place, is what makes you prepare for the prevention method that you use. And it's important also to note that the potential pests can be predictable. When you talk of potential pests, we are talking of those pests that are usually very, very serious and you can also predict them when you know that the conditions that favor their presence is available, like some pests like humid conditions where the rainy season right now, and down south it is usually an issue because those pests will keep multiplying. So when you see that an environment is suitable for certain pests, then you should be able to know that very soon this pest will be in abundance and just prepare to prevent such pests. An example is that some plant diseases occur under certain environmental conditions like I talked about, either rain, some even like the best drier regions. So if these conditions are present, then it's important that you take steps. The chemical method is the next method, and it's simply the use of chemicals to kill the pest. And the chemical method is the most effective of all the methods. There are different chemicals for different pests. We have the insecticides that control the insects, the rodenticides. Rodenticides control rodents, that's the rat family. The herbicides are the ones that control the weeds. And these chemicals could be in different forms. They could be in form of powder or dust. They could be in form of smoke or spray. And they may even be used as stomach or contact poison. Okay, like the rats, for example, we have to mix the poison in the food when we eat a particular food that they like, so that they will be attracted to it, and then once it gets into their tummies, it just kills them. So these are the different forms of the chemical application. You can do either in powder form, the smoke form, or even the contact. Another method for prevention of crop pests is the physical method, and just like its name, physical, something you can see. It involves the use of scarecrows, hand picking, use of traps, fencing, and burning of debris. Okay, and under this physical method, we have the cultural method. Using scarecrows is effective because it scares off some pests, while some will just turn the scarecrow to their second home, So it's important to know how to do these scarecrows. You do them when they are not when they are not present, so that they don't see you when you are wearing clothes for wood or whatever. You do it in the absence and then you place it there. So the whole chemistry is that when they see, they think it's a human being that's there, and then they scare them off, especially birds. But scarecrows, we don't usually use them for insects because insects don't really care. And hand picking is used for insects, and like I said before, now hand picking can be done on just a small piece of land. When you have a very vast piece of land, you cannot go hand picking all the insects there. It's a waste of time and energy. So you can also use traps in places where bush rats or grasscutters are the pests there. And you can also fence, like in the rice fields. You can use these barbed fence, barbed wires to kind of protect your crops, and also burning of debris, because if you keep debris, you attract pests. So the field must be clean, it must be free from debris, and also good cultural practices enable crops escape the attack of pests. When we talk about cultural practices, we talk about plowing, land preparation, the plowing proper tillage, that's breaking the soil leaves and allowing the roots of the crops to penetrate. Disposal of refuse is important. You gather them, you dispose them properly, either by burning or by taking them far into the incinerator. And regular weeding, you don't just weed when you see that everywhere is full and there's nowhere to put your leg. By then the pests must have destroyed the crops totally. When you see new grass coming up, you do a weed. You can pull out your weeds by yourself. Planting of resistant varieties is also important. As some varieties are resistant to certain pests, you can get them, it will be expensive in the beginning, but it's worth it. And early planting should also be encouraged because um, by then the pests will not be available. So by the time the worms start forming, then your crops will already be reaching their harvesting period. And the practice of crop rotation. These are physical methods of prevention. Another method is the biological method, and this involves the use of natural predators or enemies and parasites of pests. You know, using insects to control insects. That's what it's called, using animals to control insects. Okay, for example, the use of snakes and frogs on insects. You know, snakes and frogs will eat other insects, but they cannot eat plants. So that's the whole idea. It will be difficult to flood your field with snakes. So frogs, you can reduce your frogs on your plants so that they can eat the insects. They will even scare the insects away because they eat them. So when insects know that there are frogs there, they just leave. And the use of African marigold for the control of nematodes, use of hats to control rodents. You put your rodents when you see that the rodent is a problem, you put cats there, they eat it. And the use of tiny wasps to control bugs on cassava. These are methods of these are biological methods. So what is an insect? If you're talking insects, what exactly are insects? Um, why are they important? It's important to know where they came from and what they do. So the next thing we'll be looking at is the insect as pests. And it's worthy of note that insects belong to the phylum Arthropods, and arthropods form a major group of the animal kingdom. It's one of the largest and most important pests of crops. Okay, it's a group of animals. So insects are animals, they are not plants. So with segmented bodies, you can see like in the scorpion in this picture here. From the tail, you can see this is one segment. That's where the poison is. This is another segment. This is another segment. So their bodies are in segments. Another one, another one, another one. You see, their bodies are in segments. Okay, and hard skin. So they possess the exoskeleton. Okay, that is which is chitin. So their skeletons are the back. That's why they are on their skin. That's why their skins are usually hard. And the following classes, they are classes of insects. You don't just call them, they are insects though, but they are collectively, but they still have classes. So it's not everyone you call insects. So they have classes. The first class is the class Insecta. Okay, class Insecta. Class of insects, Insecta, very funny. And they have one pair of antenna. That antenna is between the front of their head. Look at it. This is the beak here. This is the antenna. It pokes out, so easy to feel. Okay, that is the antenna. Then tracheal respiration. They respire through the trachea, and they have three pairs of two legs. You can see by the side here. This is one pair, one on each side. So this is one, this is two, this is the third one. So we are talking of 6 legs on and off. And their bodies are divided into three regions. We have the head over here, the thorax, that's the middle part, the middle section of the body where the wings are, and then the abdomen, that is this long part of the body. So their bodies are divided into three: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. Examples of these animals are the grasshopper, the bee, like you can see in this picture, and the beetle. Moving on, we have the class Arachnida, and they are characterized by two body regions. Unlike the class Insecta, these ones have two body regions. You can see here the cephalothorax, okay, and the abdomen. So we do have the head. We have the head is fused to the thorax. So you have the cephalothorax and the abdomen. They have four pairs of legs. You can see one on each side, making legs all in all. And they do not have an antenna. Okay, they don't have that long anything in front of their head. They don't have it. Their respiration is by means of trachea, diffusion through their body walls. Okay, that's how they respire through their body walls. An example of this class is the spider, like you can see in this picture, the mites, and the tick. Moving on, we have the class Chilopoda, and these insects have elongated bodies. As you can see, their bodies are long with 15 or more pairs of legs. So their legs are not less than 15 pairs, 15 or more, depending on the length of the body. And as you can see in this chilopoda here, this centipede here, one pair of leg occurs on every body segment. If you look at it closely, this is the body segment. You can see the leg here. This is another segment. You can see the leg here. So you can see one pair, one on each side, okay, of legs on each segment. And a good example of this class is the centipede, like you can see in this class of insect, is the Gynopoda. And just like the name is Diplopoda, they have elongated body as well. But the main difference between the Diplopoda and the Chilopoda is that two pairs of body segments. They have legs, two pairs of legs for each body segment. Unlike the other one that is one pair, you can see that this one they have two pairs of legs on each segment. So their legs are much more than the previous group. A good example of it. But they don't have legs in their head like the other one, unlike the other one. You see a few meters at the back of the head, the whole leg. And a good example of this is the millipede, like you can see in another class. The final class here is the crustacea. Okay, the crustacea are aquatic in nature. You find them underwater and they possess gills. Of course, they are aquatic, so they breathe through the gills and they have five or more pairs of legs. See, you can see the legs are still extended towards the back, and you have a good example in the crabs, crayfish, shrimps, lobsters. Those are now, what are the damage that is caused by these insects? We have seen the classes of insects, you know what insects are, you see what, when you see an insect, you can predict what class it belongs to, what exactly did it cause. So, insects damage crop in three major categories. We have the biting and the chewing, the piercing and sucking, then the boring insect. First one we'll be talking about is the biting and chewing. And just like the name, what these insects do is that they bite and chew parts of the plant with their mouth parts. Okay, they use their mouth to bite and chew. And examples of insects that belong to this category are the grasshoppers, the lepidopterous caterpillars, and beetles. And what they do is that they consume the leaves, stems, flowers, fruit, in short, the whole plant. And they are so serious, they are so dangerous. They eat, they consume the whole plant. And for example, locusts, when they come in their numbers, they just come and clean. The next uh, category of damage is the biting and the chewing. And just like the name, you can see in this leaf what this larvae have done. You can see the leaf has been chewed. That is what they do. They are very destructive and they make this kind of plant unfit for human consumption because You can never go to the market and see leaves that have been eaten that have holes in them and then you buy them. It reduces the value of crops. Okay, and the quantities of vegetation they consume is very very high. Before you know it, they are all over the place destroying everything. They remove leaves and vegetative parts of the plant, and when they do this, these plants can no longer photosynthesize because these are the parts of the plants. Anything grows, that's what the plant uses to um photosynthesize. When they are no more there, the plant just dies off, just withers and dies. Okay, and they also reduce they damage plant flowers, they damage the flowers and fruits of plants, leading to drought. Now the next one is the piercing and the sucking, and this is the Hemiptera species, and they have mouth parts that are adapted for piercing and sucking. Okay, some Diptera, they have mouth parts for sucking animals too, like see in this picture, the louse, the pig. What they do is that they suck animals, they bite and they suck. Okay, so it's not only crops that they do that to, they do that to animals as well. And this piercing and sucking does mechanical damages to the tissues. They also cause loss of plant sap because what they do is that when they pierce, they drain this, just like they are sucking blood, like mosquito is sucking blood. When mosquito sucks human blood, the human being feels it and is even weak. So that's what they do to plants also. They pierce and then they suck the sap. And when they suck the sap, they render the plant useless. The plant becomes distorted and rendered unfit for sale and human consumption. So that's also the what this sucking insects do is that they inject toxic saliva into the plant tissues and it causes death for them. Just like mosquitoes do inject this malaria parasite into one's body when they suck the blood. So also these insects suck the sap and they inject toxic saliva to it and it will cause the death of the crop. This is a sissy fly, the same species, is what it looks like. It's also a piercing and suck. So these are thrips, they pierce and suck cowpea flowers. um And once they just cut suck the flower will just drop and that leads to abortion. And when there's abortion of the flower, no fruit can be produced. So it reduces fruit formation and yield. And this piercing and sucking insect also cause natural secondary damage. You can see their proboscis. That's what they use to pierce and suck. So they cause secondary damage because they introduce pathogens. Okay, when they leave a scar, when they pierce, they leave a scar on the plant, so pathogens will just come in. An example of this pathogen is the maize streak virus, which is so for the boring insects, those ones like the names are, they just bore tunnels into the stems and fruits of crops and remain inside the tissue where they are consumed where they consume large quantities of tissue. They will bore inside the fruit and remain there and be eating the fruit and eating, it's so terrible. So these insects have mouth parts that are also adapted for biting and chewing. And you have a good example because most of them stay in stored crops. When you harvest your crops from the field and they are in storage, that's where you see most of these boring insects. And a good example is the Calosotrophus masculatus. And what they do is that they pour into the cowpea beetle, it pours into cowpea and renders it unfit for human consumption because when they eat everything inside, it will just be empty. The seed will be empty and so having said that, it's a short class activity for you. List 4 methods of pest control and explain any one, and mention 3 damages caused by insect pests. I'll give you 10 seconds to answer that. Good. So what are the insect pests of cereals? We are going to be taking these crops one after the other so that you will know the insect pests of certain crops and you know how to control them. So we are going to be taking the insect pests of cereals right now and the method of control. So we have the first insect pest, which is the maize aphid. Okay, the maize aphid, like you can see in this picture, look at them in their numerous numbers. Very destructive. You can see the white patches, their eggs, they are young rather. So destructive. And it is a common and serious pest of maize, and it attacks young plants. Young plants are the most risky. The pest can be found also on sorghum, millet, sugarcane, wheat. These are families of maize. Sorghum, you can see their growth pattern, so that sorghum grows higher, longer, okay, and their panicle is up, but the leaf is the same, so they are attracted to the same family. Okay, so you can find it in sorghum, you can find it in millet, in sugarcane. Those fruits, they have the same leaf pattern, and wheat also. And aphids are distributed throughout Nigeria, either north, east, south, west. They are everywhere in their numbers, in colonies, like you can see on this list. You can imagine what it will be. So what is the damage that it will do? What is the damage cause? See, new growth becomes distorted, neurotic, no color, and stunted. And heavily infested capsules may become sterile. Okay, they don't produce seeds, they are just empty. Honeydew secreted by aphids encourage growth of sooty molds. Yes, the honeydew is this heavy sticky thing that is on sorghum, and covers the seed with sticky residue, which makes processing difficult. And also these aphids transmit viruses, okay, virus disease of maize, such as leaf split, sugar cane mosaic, and the like. So they are not good at all. You shouldn't see them. Anywhere you see them, you have. How can they be controlled? The non-chemical method of controlling is to vigorously um, remove plants, okay, of aphid attack. um Okay, serious plants are usually tolerant of aphid attack. So as in when a plant is growing fast, um then it can escape the attack. But how to control them without chemicals is the use of natural enemies to bring in other insects that can feed on this aphid. And the chemical control is by applying an pesticide such as carb, or a synthetic insecticide such as dimethanol. So that is the way you can. Another um, insect pest of cereals is the maize stem borer, which is the Pociola fusca. So you can see in this picture is a larvae, okay, and what they do is they bore. You can see the stem of this maize plant is born already. That is what they feed. They feed on it, they eat it from inside, and you won't know. The plant will be looking healthy on the outside, all of a sudden it will just collapse and it is gone because of this stem borer. There was a time that the government was really out to fight it because it was really destroying all the maize in Nigeria. And the primary host of this particular species is sorghum and maize, but it may also attack millet and sugarcane and rice to a lesser extent. Okay, and particularly it is found in the drier savanna zones of North Africa. northern Nigeria. Can you imagine the drier savanna zones? So that is where it thrives. The larva feeds on the on the leaves of young plants. What they do is that they scrape the inner layer of the tissue from the leaf, okay, and they leave holes there. So that's the heart of the plant. It kills the heart of the plant. When they go inside the plant, the stem, and they scrape it, that is the heart of the plant. So that's what they do. They destroy the heart of the plant. And the adults are brown. You don't usually see them because they are moths. You see them at night. So the adults don't have any business on the male plant. It's the larvae that is a serious problem of maize. Can be controlled by dispersing larvae, can be killed by partial burning of harvested crops before storing for fuel use. Heat, smoke, that's what makes them come out. So partial burning of harvested stuff. And if you want to control them chemically, you know, you have to treat with carbofuran damali, which is a systemic herbicide, or delta methyl. Okay, you can use them on the young. It controls the young larvae, and it is used 20 to 40 days after seedling emerges. When you plant your seedling and it emerges, it germinates, you count 20 to 40 days and then you spray. That is how you can control them. Because if they grow to a certain stage, by then they will have been inside the stem already. So they cannot be controlled except you pull them out. So what you do is you spray at 20 to 40 days after seeding emerges. That's the another pest of maize or of cereals is the leaf hopper. That's the Cardinal species. And leaf hoppers are important as vectors of the maize streak virus. Very serious virus, very serious disease. Wipes out population of maize in days, weeks, very fast. So it's important that you control these leaf hoppers. This is what they look like. This is what they look like in this picture here. And the Cittadina species is also a vector of the sugarcane streak virus. Like I said, all these cereals are related. So anything that can kill maize can also kill sorghum, millet. That is how it is. So their host plants are maize, sorghum, pear millet, and annual grasses. Okay, and what they do is that the leaves and the adults pierce the plant tissue, so it is a piercing and sucking kind of insect pest, and feed on sap. Okay, high numbers of feeding insects wither. The wither is to just kill it, and the growth of the plant is stunted, malformed, doesn't form properly, just destroys the whole plant. How can they be controlled? Because the population of liver parts is highest at the end of growing season. So it's important that you plant early, okay? Plant early. So what is the non-chemical control? Avoid repeating planting of maize on the same plot as it leads to a build-up of pests and MSP. It's very important. Monocropping has its disadvantages, and one of the disadvantages is the prevalence of pests. Okay, so what you do is when you have a piece of land, you plant maize this year, next year you can plant a legume, the following year you can plant a tuber crop, and then the following year you can now plant maize again. Just confuse the life cycle of these insect pests so that they will not be used to seeing maize and maize and maize all the time on that field. They will build up fast. So avoid monocropping. And the chemical control of this is to treat with insecticide. Okay, when you can see that 10% of the plants are infected, so you spray carbonyl and endosulfan may be effective. what the maize-streak virus looks like. You can see it's prochlorotic. You can see the growth is stunted. It's not functioning well, malformation. You can see the disease everywhere. So this is what a maize-streak virus on a maize. Also, another plant pest of economic importance is the millet stem borer, the Penicillium americanum, and just like its name, it attacks millet. The larvae is born directly on the stem without feeding on leaves. So their business is the stem. They don't really bother about the leaves. And when the population of the larvae is high, plants that are attacked will just collapse and die. Like I said, when they go inside, they bore inside, they feed on the heart of the crop. So the heart is looking, the plant is looking healthy on the outside, but inside is already destroyed. One day it will just collapse, and when you just break it, you just see, wow. So this is what has been going on. So larger plants will continue to grow, but it will not set seed. So what is the usefulness of planting when you cannot get seed for another planting season? It's important that non-chemical control is to destroy all old millet stems, destroy them and kill the population. You have to destroy the old stems by burning them to ashes. And the chemical control is to apply granular carbofuran to the soil, granular carbofuran to the soil at 6 weeks. You can also spray lambda 5 to 7 days after eggs are found on 5% of the plants before they start to bulk inside the stalks. You quickly control. So, having said all that, some that class activity for you. List 4 insect pests of cereals and disease caused. The insect pests, you list them, you list the diseases that they cause, and the methods of control. I'll give you 10 seconds to do that. So we have learned a lot today, and I hope you had a very interesting lecture. I had a wonderful time, and I hope to see you next week also. This week, we learned about insect as a pest, the method of controlling pests, and we learned the classes of insects. We also learned some pests that attack cereals. So next week also promises to be a wonderful time. I thank you all for listening, and I want you to leave me on the discussion forum. I put questions there. I expect people to answer me, and there should be a discussion kind of forum going on. So please endeavor to attend the lectures promptly. Thank you, and let's